Welcome and hello on today's Life Holistic Call. It's the community live call, and it's all for you, life explorers, that would like to go through life and explore, expand, evolve. So this is part of who we are. This is part of who our purpose and being on this planet Earth. And the purpose of this course is to bring you together. And every time we have got somebody, a guest speaker or somebody who is actually very much keen to help you, to help us explore more of our unique essence. And today on the call, we have got Davina MacKail. Hello, Davina. Welcome.
Hi. Nice to be here, Chrisoula.
Nice to have you here on today's full moon in Aquarius and lunar eclipse as well. It's everything. Wow. It's I've read a few things about it. I'm sure, Davina, you may like to share a little bit about an insight and your take on what's happening energetically in this month of August. Is a very powerful month.
It's a huge month.
Yes, it is. It is. So you may have heard of the Lion Gate, the portal opening out tomorrow on the 8th of the 8th. And loads is happening. And personally, on a personal level, I have got that sort of push. Although I might feel a little bit tired, however, I have this push, this motivation, this energy coming through me that I want to see to get things moving. That's how it manifests in me. I don't know. So everybody's got different ways of the different stages in their lives and different things happening to you. So whatever comes, for me, for my take, and I'm sure Davina will be sharing your tips and advice how to go through this coming month and the full moon and the lunar eclipses. It's just to allow some time to ground yourself, because although the energies are very, very big and very energetically, you can feel pulled and pushed everywhere. However, you need to allow some time to ground yourself. So whatever tool, whatever practice you got, just practice it even more. that's my feeling about it, and allow time to chill, if you don't feel inclined to do much, just go with the flow. And that's why today's show is called How to Stay Tuned In with Your Authentic Flow, because it's all about, August is all about reevaluating and lunar eclipses, and it's a beautiful time to also check in with yourself, where you are, and what is it that you want to move forward to, and then evaluate and reset and move forward. And sometimes it can happen naturally, and other times it doesn't. And maybe you feel a bit lethargic, or you need a bit of time to sleep, or whatever. Just do whatever you feel is good for you. That's something that comes from me. Mm-hmm. This, staying in authentic flow, and stay, what is authenticity and what is flow, and how does that help us to keep, in connection with our wisdom? That's something that we're going to explore on today's show, because Davina, she's a shamanic teacher, seer, and also she's a spiritual educator and author. You've written 2 books, if I remember rightly, Davina. Yeah. And
one on dreams and one on feng shui.
Yes, and I have been blessed to be to have interviewed Davina a number of times on my radio show on the Healthy Healing, and today she's here with us, and it's incredible. Thank you so much for joining us, Davina, and thank you, Constance, also for being here from wonderful Netherlands.
Yeah.
So authenticity, how do we, what is authentic? Within the color system I work with, the color mirror system, authenticity is very much connect with your solar plexus and your wisdom. And then maybe you may think, okay, what's wisdom? And then you may say, okay, wisdom is knowledge. And then Davina would say, no, wisdom is not knowledge. So so I remember, because there was a fantastic interview, if I may so myself, on the Prosperity IQ show, when I collected a number of people coming together talking about prosperity, and Davina was one of them, sort of giving her angle and her perspective on what prosperity was. So if you haven't purchased this online video course, I highly recommend it. Not because it's my creation, it's my sort of design or intention behind it. It's because a number of people came aboard, including Davina, and it's full packed of value. Value packed online course. Fabulous. So Davina, if I come to you and talking about being an authentic, how do we stay tuned in with our authenticity? How do we stay tuned with how do you do that? Maybe if I start with you, what is your way, your process, your practice that helps you to be in authentic flow?
I have many, to be
fair.
And the one thing, it's very interesting about practice, because I also think we can get into habits. So I think it's good to change our practices regularly. Mm-hmm. So even practices I tend to change, because I think if we stay with a particular practice for too long, then that becomes inauthentic as well, because we change. We grow and we evolve, and perhaps we need new practices as we evolve and as we transform. So I'm very much against any kind of dogma, even with practice dogma. So it's what I check in with is, what do I need most in this moment? What's the universe reflecting back to me? What's the conversation I'm having with what's showing up in this dialogue with myself that is constantly taking place in the external environment? And my authenticity really comes from my response to that. And it is about being response-able rather than reactive. And if we're not really in our moment of now as much as is possible, then we become reactive, because we're either thinking about the past or envisioning the future. And really the only moment that we can create anything is in this moment of now. It's when the future and the past actually meet, and where miracles of transformation can actually occur. So it's about, as much as possible, being able to walk in truth in the moment, and that it changes all of the time. The only thing we can really guarantee is impermanence, is that changing nature. So in terms of my daily practice, it's checking in. I always check in with my sort of the 4 sacred directions, the elements in my garden. I have guardians of the gate on the 4 directions of my property. So I'll have a chat with the trees, have a chat with the beings in the forest, walk with bare feet on the earth, breathe, conscious breath. I breathe in the blessings of this day, and I exhale anything less than that. Simple stuff. Just taking that moment. I'll light a candle to honor my ancestors, to tell them they are not forgotten, because those are the people on whose shoulders I stand. And really, I'm not this being alone. I'm totally connected, and everything in our universe is about relationship. So it's like, how can I build better relationships today? How can I build a better relationship with myself, with my breath, with those I share my life with the green beings in my garden, with the sacred elements that create everything in life, whether it's even social media or Facebook or anything, how can I better the relationship? How do I want to be in relationship with this day, with this moment, with this situation? So those are I think for me, rather than I have a particularly dogmatic daily practice, it is more about those are the principles or the values that I apply to my practice. But that changes. Sometimes I might get up and do yoga. Sometimes I get up and do a bit of Wim Hof breathing and have a cold shower. And most days I have a cold shower. Cold showers are fantastic energizers. So that's a great... really good power. Like at the moment, my practice is going out and collecting nettle seeds, because they're an amazing adaptogen for this time of the year, and they are one of the greatest ways of healing the adrenals and the kidneys. And so many suffer burnout, particularly in the overload that we are having in this massive, changing of the time, this turning of the great wheel. And within that, we need more support, and nettles are a great way of doing that. So collecting nettle seeds is one of my constant daily practices in the moment, because each day in this time there are more of them to collect. wet and dry and checking in.
Well, that goes back to what we were talking about before, Davina, that is actually following and honoring the cycle. So the cycles as they come naturally, nettles are available now. So you go and collect them now. And then that's probably like, somebody may call it a simple thing, but for you, something like you connect with Mother Earth, you feel there's a value behind it. You can do something that is good for you, for your own health, for your nutrition, so yes, it's mindfulness as well, because when you do that, where you are outside in connecting with nature, for me, it's like completely switching off everything else, and you're there in the moment. And that's if you want to call it a practice, then that could be it.
I don't just call it a practice, it is a practice.
It is a practice.
Because for me, the green beings are our elders. They were here before us and they will be here after us. They are our greatest teachers. They're the ones that give us breath. They are the ones that synthesize light that we then eat to give us light through the Charles of Virgo in our bodies. They are our great elders, and we need to respect and connect to them, and they are our teachers. And by being quiet in the moment of observation with them, of breathing with them, of connecting with them, then we learn. And I get so on one level, it's a simple thing of going out and collecting nettle seeds. But if you fully listen in that process, and I'm talking about deep listening, really listening, the plant will tell you everything you need to know for the day. But it's about communicating. These are a being. They are a sentient being. And this is what I feel in large swaths, and possibly not anybody on this call or listening to this call, but like large swaths of it, you see it. If I went into London last week, and I have to say I tend to avoid London like the plague these days, right? But occasionally I have to go back in there. And I went, and it was terrifying because I'd kind of forgotten. Because I am becoming more eccentric and more reclusive, really. It's hard to get me out of the forest anymore. And just how I just looked around, and it's like everybody is down here glued to a screen or got something stuck in their ears, or it's just not even just disconnected to the green beings, but disconnected to another human being surrounding them. Walking down the street, just smiling at someone, just acknowledging that there is another being in existence near them. And that I find sad. I do. That if I left one thing on this planet, is like each day to be able to communicate to somebody, to remember relationship, because nothing happens without relationship on this planet. We are not isolated. We are not alone. Everything is in relationship.
Yeah. Well, yesterday, based on what we're talking about, that connection with Mother Earth, connection with nature. We finally decided, myself and I would like to call him now my husband, Sean, we decided to go out on his motorbike, because that's his passion, and I am the pillion. Yes. So we haven't been out for quite a while, and to start with, we said we're going to go out for an hour somewhere, and then we're going to come back. But then after that, I felt so. I love it being on the motorbike, because there's this kind, for me, flow comes from complete trust. You've got to trust to be in the flow. Otherwise, there's some sort of hesitation, a sort of doubt, a sort of questioning, and then you cannot be in the flow. So when I'm on the bike, I'm on the flow, because I trust him, and I trust him will be okay. We'll be okay. And then I feel so much connected with. I was breathing in, and my lungs were like full of air, fresh air, and I could smell the grass, and I could connect with the animals, the sheep and the goats and the cows, and it was just beautiful. And I said to him, let's not go back yet. Let's extend our time outside, because I know when I go back, I probably will find something to do, more like work or something. So I said, okay, let's stay out a little bit longer. And it was beautiful. And then you come back and you feel tired, because you're so energized. All the oxygen you come back to you, but you feel nice tired. Do you see what I mean? It's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh,
I spent a lot of my youth riding motorbikes, because I love motorbikes. I actually have my motorbike license.
You have got it. Oh wow.
Yeah. No, I had a really fabulous Ducati single. It was fantastic.
Oh, Ducati. Fire. Oh, there you are. You're always learning something about people you're connecting with. Probably you didn't know that I was a pillion and we're doing touring and all of that. So there you are. So welcome, Gita. Hello, my dear. Can you hear us? Gita, can you hear us? Hello? No? Are you okay? Thinks he's trying to get everything sorted. Typing something now. Let's see what he's got to say. I've got bad internet. Okay, welcome. Oh, dear me. Okay, let me just go back to her. Okay, can you hear us?
Okay, I think I'm here now.
Oh, yes.
Fabulous. Welcome, Gita.
Thank you.
Welcome, my dear. Oh,
Sorry for the delay. I have been in traffic.
yeah. Well, you're here now. Brilliant. So, Gita, where are you joining us from? Somewhere far away, not from England. Where are you now?
I'm in Horsholm, and that's north of Copenhagen in Denmark.
Oh.
I've been to Copenhagen, as I told you, but I don't know Denmark as such. But I do love Copenhagen. It was beautiful when we were there. So we got myself and Davina. Davina, put your hand up. Yeah. Davina, we are based in England, and Constance, hello.
Yes. Hello.
She's based in the Netherlands.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay. So Gita is actually the author of the book, The Children's Meditations in My Heart. Probably you cannot see it, you cannot read it, but it's called The Children's Meditations in My Heart. And I'm really excited because she's going to be in England in October. And she's going to come and we're going to have a workshop here. So all of you who's going to watch it back, if you're a mom, you're a dad, you're a teacher or a carer or a grandfather, a grandmother, anyone who is an educator and would love to see how kids can actually grow up connecting with their heart and then enhancing their emotional well-being, join us. It's going to happen on the 26th of October, Thursday the 26th of October. And it's going to be in the morning. So those of you who are self-employed and you would like to allocate some time for you to understand yourself a bit more and how you can connect and bond with your children a bit more as well. And Gita was going to tell us a bit more later as well. Okay, so Gita, we were talking about how to stay tuned with your authentic flow. And Davina is our guest speaker today. And Davina, she's a shamanic seer. Do you know what shamanism is? Are you aware of that? Yeah, you are. So maybe Davina, at this point, since the people that will be watching this back later on and or listening to it, will you tell us a little bit of what shamanism is?
I think shamanism is a very loose term these days. And there are many different definitions and descriptions of that. If you talk about sort of somebody like people in the past, they would call it the technique of ecstasy. So it is also, and really what that is, so you can get into a shamanic state of consciousness, shall we say, through maybe taking an entheogen, one of the plant medicines, or through ecstatic dance, or through drum journeys, various different ways of shifting our state of consciousness. A shaman is also someone that can travel through the worlds, through different dimensions, to be able to retrieve information in order to help their community, whether that be for like in a tribal situation, the shaman or medicine person would travel on behalf of the community to see perhaps, yep, this is where we need to go and get food, or this is what we need to do to help plant the crops and make them grow better, or this is what's happening to this particular person and this is the healing that they need. It's very much an earth-based practice. So it is about connecting very deeply with nature, really understanding the elements and how, and building, again, it's not about understanding the elements and how they interact, it's building a relationship with them so that you can build a relationship with the wind, so you can ask the wind, but it's not about you're commanding the wind, you're in relationship with the wind. So you converse with the wind, and if you have a good relationship with the wind will actually move the clouds so you can have a sunny day when you need one, that kind of thing. Doesn't always work. Or, you know, walk with the water. So it's like there was a saying once that, you know, when the Amazon shaman stands in the river with her cup of water, she is not the cup of water, she is the river. She becomes the river. So it is about very much being in relationship with the natural way of life, whether that be animals, birds, plants, spirits, all of that situation.
Yes.
But it's very much, I mean, the shaman is somebody that works on behalf of their community. I think that's a very important part that I think in sort of modern day shamanism has been lost to a degree in terms of practice. It's not necessary. So that aspect, because that was really its original. It was like they had particular gifts or they developed particular gifts, but it was never for their own personal gain or practice. It was really about what they could share, how they could help those around them.
Yes. When you talked about, the wind you can be in relation with the wind, and the wind can talk to you or can give you information or something along these lines. I remember The Alchemist, the book, The Alchemist. There was a point there. There was where the alchemist had that conversation with the elements, and I think it was the wind, if I remember well. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember that connection. You know how. And then he was actually in the flow with the universe, and then he was speaking to the universe as well. So that brought me that memory. One of my favorite books ever. It came into my life at that point that I was actually changing direction, and then that was it. You know, that's what books are all about, aren't they? They are there to teach us.
I think that particular book has been a seminal text for many, many people. It's a long time since I've read it, so I can't remember what his relationship with the wind was, but it is a very beautiful book. I'm reading a really lovely book at the moment, actually, Braiding Sweetgrass. It's by an American author, I think Roberta Kilmera or something, but the book title is Braid. And it's such a delicious book that I have to limit myself to 2 pages a day because I don't want it to end. It's so beautifully written. It's actually a woman that she's a scientist, a botanist, but she's also I think Native American by spirit. So she has this beautiful poetry of language, but it's amazing. So within her story, she's a real storyteller. Within her sweetness of words, she's actually teaching me huge amounts of science about the plants. So it's a wonderful combination of the two. It's its own genre. You can't say it's not really fiction and it's not really non-fiction. It's such a weave of both.
What was the title? I didn't hear the title of it.
Braiding, like as in plaiting, when you plait something, braiding sweetgrass. Delicious.
Fantastic. Constanza, are you reading anything at the moment? Because you like reading too.
I love reading, yes. I was just finishing the book I wrote to you about the light from Korani, about the color mirror.
Yes.
I have 2 or 3 pages, or maybe 4 pages left, and then that's finished. So I was really trying. That was the first book I didn't try to read as fast, because I really wanted to grasp what was all in there. And then I totally get what you're saying. You don't need to read too much of because you skip too quickly over the pages, and then you miss maybe some points. So I was really reading that very thoroughly.
Yes. Well, that book, but in particular, this kind of book is more like also a reference book. This is so rich. So
what is it called?
The Golden Keys to Ascension.
Oh, okay,
Yes. So it's actually based on this golden Gaias, these bottles here behind me. Don't know if you can see them. So the golden keys are these bottles here, and then they come together with the spritzer. So the book is all about activating portals of awareness, connecting with yourself more, your wisdom, your inner power, and it goes through each bottle is like a golden key that opens up portals and connects more deeper and deeper with your inner gold. So it's a beautiful book. Respect whether you are into color or not. It's a beautiful book to if you like to go through like this kind of quest, if you like. Yeah,
absolutely. And even if you only like color, it's still very interesting.
Yeah. So that's definitely one of the recommendations on the 21-day program, Golden Keys to Prosperity, Love and Joy. This is part of it. So if you want to do the course, you definitely invest in that book as well. It will enhance the whole experience. So fantastic talking about books and talking about. I would like to talk about a bit more the energy in August as well, Davina. But before that, I would like to invite you, Gita, to say a little bit about yourself, and because we talked about relationships before, and you absolutely value the relationship between mother and child, between parents and children, and that was probably the inspiration behind writing the book, the Children's Meditations in My Heart. So
yeah.
So tell us a bit about yourself and just so we all know a little bit about you.
Yeah, well, I've been fortunate to grow up in a family full of love, and I've had parents who've always supported me, and I think in many ways they have always taught me to follow my heart. I was just talking to my mother the other day. She was with us, and she said, well, you have always been like this, even when you were a kid. You always chose your own path. So I think I've come with strong instincts and have known about how to follow my heart from an early age. So I've been traveling a lot. I've lived in 7 different countries. And when I lived in Croatia 11 years ago, I gave birth to a little girl. And that was like a turning point, becoming a mother for me. And it made me reflect upon all the tools that I had given as a child from my parents. And what I found was that the children today seem more fragile. So we have many more diagnoses. We have many more worried parents, and we have a lot of things going on in daycare and kindergarten at school. And as my girls, I also gave birth to a girl in Canada a few years later. So I have 2 girls, and they're now 8 and 11. And seeing their environment and I was on maternity leave for 4 years, and I made some conscious choices of coming back on part-time as a mother and starting my own business and starting writing. And I made a lot of choices that were very different from my girlfriend's choices and our friends and family. So it was very conscious choices that I made. And I started seeing the outcome of how I lived with my children and how other families lived with their children. And they were much more busy and much more stress going on. And I started noticing different things. And the real turning point was when I wrote a book as a ghostwriter, because I worked as a copywriter in the beginning. So I wrote a book as a ghostwriter called Student Life Without Stress. And researching for that book, it's for university students and trying to give them tools to overcome stress as a university student. And seeing the statistics, like getting into the research of writing that book was just crazy for me, because I found out how many kids in Denmark have stress, and we are supposed to be the most happy country in the world. So it just made me reflect a whole lot about why society is spinning so fast, what is making all these children so miserable, and not even if they're not completely stressed out, they're just having stressful lives, right? Too many activities going on, screens, digital world, and to me it seemed that our children are just the same as we were when we were born. It's the society that's going bananas and going really fast. So I started asking for tools for my own girls, like what do they need to learn so I can love them from here and to the moon and back, and I can be with them and I can give them all my attention. But children today need some different tools because the world is spinning so fast. So I started asking all these questions. What is it that has helped me in my life, and what tools do I have to relax in my life? And meditation and mindfulness were the answers for me. So I started writing children's meditations and telling my girls different meditations. And for me, the easiest way to get started on meditation were through the heart, connecting to the heart. And children are much more in heart land than in brain land. So it's much easier to teach children meditation, and they know what the heart is all about and what love is all about. So it was, for me, it was a good way to start. So I wrote the children's meditations in my heart and published it in Danish. And what I found already when I was researching for it and you know, making up the different storylines, I was telling them to my girls, and they just kept falling asleep. Like during the meditation, they would fall asleep. So I started so it went really fast. It was minutes after I started meditating with them, they would go to sleep. And my girlfriends were like, how can you make your children sleep so fast? Or, you know, anywhere, anytime I would have them sleep. It was so funny. It was like this, and they would sleep. So my girlfriend started asking these questions. And I remember at a party, I had left the room to go with my girls, and they were going to sleep. And I came out literally 5 minutes after, and they're like, what? Are they asleep? And I took a napkin from this. There was a white napkin on the table, like a paper napkin. And I wrote down some lines. And I said to this girlfriend of mine, go say this to your children, see what happens. Say these lines. And she went in, and her kids fell asleep as well. And she was like, what is this? This napkin? You know, and then I knew I was onto something. And now, you know, thousands of children in now 15 countries are falling asleep with this book. And have so yay.
There must be a very great deal of many happy mothers. I don't know about children.
Yes, exactly. Many happy mothers and families. Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And actually tomorrow, now we're talking about the elements, and I loved what you said about the elements and the shamanism. Tomorrow, this book is coming out in Danish. It's called The Valley of the Hearts. It's just a postcard now. I don't have the actual book, but it's about teaching the children about the elements.
Nice.
So water, fire, air, and earth. So I'm going there as well to teach the children about the elements.
There you are. So you are a little shaman, you don't know about it. I guess we all have that value in us, but probably do we recognize it? That's do we appreciate it? Do we embrace it? Do we value it enough? That's what it is. So thank you, Gita. Thank you, and I'm really looking forward to having you here in England and running a workshop and inviting all of you mothers locally based. We'll see whether we can do a Facebook Live and see how we can maximize your stay here and your visit here, because I do value what you're offering. So fantastic. And congratulations on the new book. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
So yay. So and actually you chose a good month to do that, because August is the 8th month of the year. And from what I know, based on numerology, 8 is the prosperity, is actually going with the flow, and is a really good month to opening up to new possibilities. And now, Davina, that we've got the full moon in Aquarius. It's also, Aquarius is a sign that is looking ahead. It's very much about the future, about the big visions ahead. And so what else can we actually, our attentions, and what can we do to maximize the energies in August?
Well, yes, it is about looking ahead, but there are some mitigating circumstances, because it is eclipse month too.
Yes.
Eclipses always bring up what's hidden. and what's surprising. And we begin with this full moon and a partial lunar eclipse. And lunar eclipse, particularly because the moon is not lit by its own light, it's lit by the light of the sun. So it's always about where the hidden delusions are, the illusions of our mind, the illusions of our situation. So it's much more about the shadow work. And it really, we have to, through the darkness is where we find the light. So in this moment of Aquarius, in this lunar eclipse, it's really pay attention to perhaps the unusual things that show up, the things that catch us slightly off guard or are coming a little bit left field, or the unexpected contact, phone call, message, happenstance that occurs, rather than the obvious manifestation of our goals and dreams. Or if we are doing our kind of manifestation list or whatever, then what immediately comes up in the aftermath of that? Because that's going to show you what your unconscious resistance is to it. And there is this, I remember years ago when I did one of those sort of like things where you like could go beyond, and bent a steel bar. So in this very vulnerable part of the neck, and standing opposite someone, it's a solid steel 2 meter solid bar, and you just walk towards each other and bend it like melted chocolate. Obviously with a bit of training. A little bit. And it's the weirdest. I have it as a reminder because it happens very quickly when you do it. And it is the most extraordinary sensation of, you can feel the quantum physics, it just wobbles and literally just bends like chocolate. It is like chocolate. But before that happens, obviously, as you walk, it gets stuck here, and this is very vulnerable. So all of your doubt comes up, all of your fear, like, this is ridiculous, I'm going to choke myself to death, I'm going to cough and splutter. And you've got to also build absolute trust with the person opposite you, because if you're not both on the same page, you can't do it. And so it shows that in order to manifest anything, to really move beyond, how we have to go through that moment of resistance. How we have to really face that. And so when we have, we've got this in many forms in our thing. Some people say it's like, oh, it's a test, we're testing our commitment. But there is that process. I really see this occur, that in order to, especially for anything, I'm sure, Geeta, you found it in just about launching your new book. I'm sure it's brought up a few things for you in some form.
Yeah.
You've got to get to that place where you have to walk beyond. It's that resistance. And it's like being able to meet the resistance and walk through. So in terms of this month as a totality, this month of Leo, it's like this lunar eclipse is going to bring up the resistance. So in terms of our manifestation and whatever dream, and for me, it's all about like, what are the new dreams? We are at the end of times, but always at the end of times, we are also at the beginning of times. That is that cycle. Yes, of death and rebirth. In everything that we look at, there is an in-breath and there is an out-breath, always. And so it's, so we talk about this sort of great, so there's great things to be birthed in this, but it's like, what is your new dream? What is your new vision? And as soon as you have that, you are going to come up with that resistance. And this lunar eclipse will bring up that resistance, particularly Uranus, ruler of Aquarius, like a planet of futurology without the technosphere and all of that, but it's also a planet of surprise. So it will bring up these hidden aspects, it will bring up these hidden shadows, and it's just like, see it for what it is. Don't fear it, don't run away from it. Just like, oh, okay, this is my resistance, and I'm going to walk towards it, and I'm going to embrace it, and I'm going to open my heart, as Geeta would say. I'm going to do one of Geeta's heart meditations and fully embrace walking towards it, and hopefully not fall asleep on the way, but
that's only for children.
Well, what about our inner child?
Stay awake while we meditate.
Our inner child, absolutely. I think I think that would be a great process to do for one's inner child. But then we have this extraordinary solar eclipse on August the 21st, still in Leo. And that, I think, on a global scale is much more potentially dramatic, because it's very interesting. The only place that we will actually physically be able to see that is a band of land right through, literally cuts the United States, North America in half. And it's the only place on the planet we'll see it. In alchemical terms, ancient alchemical terms, it's called the green lion eating the sun. And it doesn't, you know, in Shakespeare, there was one in, you know, way back when in Shakespeare's time, it's not a particularly auspicious portent. So we could see some much more significant warmongering in terms of all those crazy young lions that seem to be like enfants terribles that are in charge of various parts of our planet at the moment, could be playing a bit of shenanigans. So I think it's also important that each of us individually really doesn't go buy into the fear of what's happening on the global stage, and we stay within our own truth and with our own authenticity, and really stay within our heart of believing in the world that we can envision, that we really see and breathe and be that heaven on earth while this global stage is unfolding around us, to be able to stand, if you like, in the eye of the storm, in that still center while all of the craziness is swirling around, more important than ever. Because it's actually that eclipse is in 29 degrees of Leo, which is called the degree of fate. Now, it may not happen exactly in that moment of the eclipse, but there will be an event that it's a little bit like, the first or second, I never remember, the one where like some seemingly insignificant event that happens within that could have extraordinarily severe consequences around, you know, a couple of years down the line, that actually stems from this eclipse. And we may well see some actual the earth responding during that actual band through North America. So it is, you know, we cannot pretend that it's all business as usual, that it's all fine, because if we do that, we are actually, I'm always a cup half full person. I always believe in that optimism, but it's not about burying our heads in the sand either, because otherwise we'll never make the choice to change. We'll never make the choice to consume less, to stop having our, you know, coffee at Starbucks, or whatever the million decisions that we have to make, if we're just going to pretend it's not happening and we can just go la 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 and dream a better world and then it's all fine. Because it actually isn't. We need to consume less resources on the planet. We need to make really serious choices. So within this, there is always that opportunity. So in terms of our fire energy, our transformation that Leo brings us, and with these eclipses bringing up some quite significant global surprises, then what new choices can we make? And I follow very much the natural laws of the universe as seen in sort of some of the Hermetic seal, where these incontrovertible laws, if you like. It's like, you know, there is an incontrovertible law of gravity. Mm-hmm. Frankly, it doesn't really matter what you believe in, you know, however much faith you have, whatever you believe, if you jump off a cliff, you are going to fall and hurt yourself. You know, that's just an incontrovertible law. It doesn't matter how much faith you have at the end of the day, right? It's still going to work. So there are just some of those. And the law of cause and effect is another really, really big one. It's like, and we are mostly dealing on our planet with the effect. We're always looking at the effect. We rarely actually go back far enough to see what was the cause of this. And we need to start rooting out those causes. Like one that really came to me recently, you know, and I've been looking a lot of this, is just something like sugar. Let's look at sugar in terms of a global cause and effect. When sugar first kind of came into our consciousness, it was a very, very precious gift. Only, you know, it was a tiny little treat that you had. And then through the cause of slavery, it became a global commodity. And it became something that everybody had access to. And it has subsequently become abused. But look at the effect. Most of the Western world is now enslaved to sugar. And as a result, the Western world is suffering the pain and the disease that was inflicted on those slaves to begin with in a different form. Absolute perfect cause and effect. We really need to be looking at these deeper issues and going, okay, I'm eating this burger or this Starbucks or consuming things, you know, do I really need that? What is the root cause of that? So I think we have to become like in the fire, in the illumination of Leo, to see that we can make each one of us, what do we care enough to stand up? And you asked me earlier and said I had a different view on wisdom. So for me, wisdom in its true meaning is about action. It's like, what do we, through knowledge, see, knowledge for its own sake is useless. Knowledge is only useful if it has understanding. If we understand, if we bring understanding to knowledge, then we can only but take action. But it will be wise action.
Yes.
And so it's like, really look at the cause and effect. If it's not just the symptom, go back to the cause. What's the root?
Mm-hmm.
And do we still then want to do that behavior? Do we still want to make that choice? Or would we like to choose something different, like go play in the forest? So actually, my big advocation for the month of Leo and all this is forest bathing. Go and bathe in the forest. Breathe in wonderful green vibes and walk there.
I love trees. I love tree energy. Beautiful. Yeah.
I had a lovely situation this weekend where somebody came to work with us and was on a retreat, and we were out there, and he's kind of quite a sort of serious dude, and he was like, "I'm not going to hug the tree. I'm not going to hug the tree." He says, "Oh my God, I'm hugging a tree. Oh my God, I'm hugging a tree." This was his own internal conversation in his head. It was beautiful when he shared. Very, very, yeah. So I think more people like that. I would like to see everyone in London hug a tree, frankly.
Yes, well, if you just for a moment think that everything, we are all energy. So the energy from the tree, when you touch it, when you connect with it, when you hug it, when you are amongst trees, it will have an impact on you. And somehow it will, unless you resist so hard, but still it will penetrate you somehow. So because it is there, it is real. It's part of what this world, this universe is all about. And you are energy, I'm energy. So we are affected by, as you said, Davina, by whatever, we bring into this world. So this period for me in August, when I started off saying about reevaluating, is again, looking, what am I addicted to?
Yeah.
What is, like your addictions, it could be your, part of your shadow self, and then see, what is it that keeps me small? What is it that keeps me from connecting with my authenticity? What keeps me from claiming my power, and then, sharing more out there with the world, instead of keeping small. That's an example I could possibly say. So in addiction, it could be that you prefer, for example, you got a deadline, or you go to work on something, and you find an excuse not to do it. You find something like you're going to watch something else, or you're not going to go. You're going to resist to it. So that could be one form of addiction, or the other one could be in the form of eating sugar, or having lots of caffeine or alcohol or whatever. That's another way. Or behaviors can be addicted as well. So during this month, it is really good to check in with yourself and to check, what am I addicted to? And if there's anything you can just release, because Uranus is the number 4 in the system of Calomeros. It is all about releasing what no longer serves you. So think of something that, or someone in your life that it doesn't serve you anymore. It won't do you any good to yourself, and even to the community and the world. Because everything we do is part of self-care and self-responsibility, isn't it? So, and Gita is a lot, your work is a lot about as well, your relationship between parents and children. And I love the fact that, children can pick up the emotions and things that actually are not smooth. They can feel the negativity, they can feel the anxiety, and then they bring that up in their own life. So it's all about self-care and self-responsibility. A lot to do.
Very much. And I like the whole, the first book is all about the love between the parent and the child, and I always teach the parent to become conscious of what the parent is radiating in her or his energy, because children are master detective when it comes to our energy, and they know how we feel. We can't hide our emotions. So if we're stressed out at bedtime, we radiate stress, and it's very difficult for a child to fall asleep. If the parent is stressed out, it doesn't calm down the nervous system, or, all the things that are related to being calm before sleep. Mm-hmm. So what I'm adding in the new book, totally related to what we've been talking about now, is the energy of nature, the energy of the elements. And I hear now it's been out. I published it as an ebook in June, so I have some feedback on the book. And what I hear a lot from the parents are two things. One, I now realize why my son is asking for fires in the backyard, or I now realize why my daughter is so keen on swimming all the time. They sort of understand how the children are connected to the elements, and that's one thing I really love, that it's not just a book to read at bedtime. It's actually helping the parent understand the child's natural knowledge of the elements and what the child is actually longing or need to balance. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. And the other thing is that the parent, I have had a lot of emails already, and the parents say, I need to go to the Valley of Hearts. Like, they realize that this is not just for children, and they just, one of the meditations in the book is it's called, if in English it would be the bright source. So it's like a waterfall coming down, and the children go under the waterfall and get cleansed in their energy. They send off other people's energy, and they receive their heart energy, sort of basic. Yeah. And the sensitive parents, like, who have been, receiving all these energies from people all around them, they're like, oh my God, I need this waterfall myself. So I think that working with the elements and working with heart energies with children, and what I find is so beautiful is that the children become the teachers. And because they are so much pure in their energy, they are much more connected to all this natural wisdom that we have had for generations. Yeah. So I strongly encourage parents to listen to the children, and, like you say, go to the forest, like, take them to the forest. That's where they belong. So one of the books that I'm reading right now, I tend to read a lot of books at the same time, but it's called The Last Child in the Forest. Yeah. Do you know it? Yeah. Yeah. So, and I feel very deeply that we need to take our children more back to nature, right? Because there's so much healing in nature that the children are missing out on, because we live in urban societies and, sitting in our homes with our screens. So I was almost getting emotional when you talked about the big things going on around the 21st of August. Yes. Because that's the date I have chosen for the publication of this book, and I had no idea about these things. So I will contribute to heart-centered and element talk and stay calm in the storms. Yes. So thank you for giving that piece of information.
Thank you for being on the call today, Gita, because here, we talked about number 4, about Uranus, and then we are 4 on the call. So I think for me there's also some sort of there's a sign behind everything we're actually experiencing, and here we are, number 4 on this call. Normally we have more people coming on the call, but today it's just us, because we are meant to be here. We are meant to talk about and hold space for everything, and the energies that are coming up in August, and whatever else the future brings. Gorgeous. Thank you so much for coming. So is there a question that you would like to ask? It could be from you, Constance, or from you, Gita. Is there something you would like to ask Davina? Although on the screen says something else, by the way. This lady here is Davina. So is there a question that probably, while you're listening to her, sharing, it may be something that popped up and you didn't have a chance to ask her there and then, or it could be yes, or it could be I'm okay, all is good.
Well, the other thing that I would like to ask is, I'm really interested in shamanic healing, and I'm trying to find out more about it. And is there anything that you would do which is connected to that in these times, that the energy is so high and that a lot is going on?
There are it depends. Again, shamanic healing comes in many, many forms. So it depends what kind of healing that you'd be looking for, whether it's something like a soul retrieval, or whether it's something about removing particular energies or moving blockages, or bringing solace or retrieving information or getting sort of anything to do with ancestral healing or different natures of that. So are you asking for something more like a technique that you could use in this time?
No, it's more like what would you say that would be very beneficial a form, because you're mentioning a lot of forms now. I know I feel really connected to ancestral healing. I don't know why that is, but I keep feeling that there is a lot that still needs to be healed on that level, and I'm not really aware of what's going on, but in the sense that I don't know exactly how to do anything about that myself yet.
Okay, I can give you.
But I really feel strongly about that, so I thought maybe you have something.
I could give you a
period of time.
Yeah, I can give you a very nice little exercise to do for ancestral healing, which you can actually use a little bit of feng shui to make it even more powerful. So if you were standing at your front door looking into your house, if you choose the middle of the left-hand wall or somewhere in that area of the house, the middle of the left-hand side, if that's not a suitable place, if it's in a hallway or a toilet or something, then choose a room and use the same technique. So stand with the room you're going to choose, stand in the doorway looking into the room and choose the middle of the left-hand wall and set up an ancestral altar. Now, this can be quite small. It could just be some photographs of your ancestors. It could be maybe something that reminds you of your ancestors if you don't have anything specific. It could be some words on a piece of paper or their names on a piece of paper that remind you of them or of who they are, or something that perhaps they've given you in the past. And for 7 days, for 1 week, you have a little ritual so that each day or each morning you will go and light some incense or a candle in honor of these ancestors on both the father and the mother line. It doesn't matter whether you know them or not. All of my female ancestors, all of my maternal ancestors, all of my paternal ancestors. And what it is, it's about, I honor you. I am grateful for your guidance and teachings. You are not forgotten. Because ancestors affect us when we do not honor and remember them. That's why, all shamanic traditions have this great understanding of ancestral connection and really understanding that we are only here because, we're not here, we didn't suddenly show up. No. We've come from a great long lineage, each of us, right back from the beginning of time, from human time, of how we arrived. So there is a great deal of honor. And I think that's, again, something that in more modern cultures we've lost. We lose our connection to really honoring the ancestral lineage. So that's a very beautiful.
Absolutely.
So if there's just somebody that particular, then maybe you can do some honoring of them. But that's just a lovely way of just giving yourself a week, 7 days, 1 week, to just deeply honor that connection, honor that lineage. And you'll be quite surprised about something very simple like that, what it can bring through for you.
Wow, sounds very, very, very nice, and I really like honoring your ancestors. That's what the part of the shamanic that really appeals to me.
Yeah,
and I think, well, we wouldn't have been here if they weren't, and what they all have done for us. Exactly. We really need to honor that.
Yeah, we stand on their shoulders.
Absolutely.
And also when you really honor them and when you really make that connection to your lineage, then a huge amount of information comes through, whether that's through dreams, whether it's just through what I call the knowing without the need to know, when just information goes up and you know the truth of it, you can feel the truth of it, you have no idea why you know it, but you just know it. That often, that can really come through on the ancestral line. So it's really, it's a very, very good practice. And that's just one way. I mean, there are many ways you can have. Another really beautiful thing is to have a fire ceremony, like in your garden or whatever. And when I talk about a fire ceremony, for me, fire is sacred. So nothing goes on the sacred fire except wood that has been prayed into. So you don't throw tissues or rubbish or anything else. And even when you make that kindling or those first branches, each piece of wood is prayed into. And then as you do it, you can gather maybe your immediate family, your children. This is a lovely thing I think to do with children and family. And each person, each piece, you put a log and you pray out loud into the log. And it could be a prayer for the grandmothers or the grandfathers, or it could be a prayer for a particular ancestor and their life, etc., like that. It's another way, really beautiful way of honouring.
And that could be done on your own, or you think it's actually more powerful when it comes in a circle with other family members.
It can be done on its own, but it's a really powerful thing to do with others.
Yes.
To do with a family gathering or to do with friends.
Yes.
Yeah, I certainly have it as a regular practice. Okay. And we pray for all sorts of things. I mean, pray for anything. So it is, and because the thing is with prayer, we kind of misunderstand prayer, I think, a lot. We tend to think we're praying for something. But if you think about that in terms of the unified field that we're all existing, if you're praying for something, then you're implying a lack.
Yes. Yes.
So then what you do is create the opposite of what you're praying for. So if you're praying for peace, you're going to create war. Right. So you actually have to pray to be peace. So you are being it, rather than creating this chasm in the middle. Whatever you're praying for, you're embodying that energy in the prayer. So being joy is not praying for joy. It's like I have this conversation with people that set intention, and I'm into intention, but for me, intentions is in our inner garden. That's where we intend. To our inner being, because again with intentions, I see this a lot, that you have to be very, it's where the old saying comes from, be careful what you wish for. Because you will often create the actually opposite of it. So if we pray for patience, we'll often get lots of opportunities, not of patience, but opportunities to develop patience.
Yes,
etc. So be what it is you're praying for.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Davina MacKail. Thank you for being on the call. Thank you for being very generous with your time and sharing your wisdom. Thank you, Constance, for being here, contributing, and thank you, Gita, as well. And warm congratulations on your new book and everything, and the launch. And look forward to having you here in England sometime. You're going to be here in Antwich, in Cheshire, on the 26th of October, and then there's a Facebook event page already, and lots of other things, promotion and all that was going to happen between now and then, between us, I'm sure. So keep yourself sort of informed of what's coming up. We're going to be back here next month with another live community holistic call, which is free for all of you life explorers to come and all soul explorers, whatever you want to call yourselves, change makers, peace lovers, and come and join us. So you'll be very, very, very welcome. So a big thank you for me, and blessings for these wonderful energies of August and everything that is coming up. Okay, stay in flow, stay in tune with yourself, and okay, see you soon. Lots of love.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.